What's up? This is Shauna D with the Delicious Eats, and today I'm making some birria tacos. Look good, don't it? But I know y'all did not think I was gonna show y'all the whole video. Y'all gonna see it at the end. So first, you're gonna add a tablespoon of black peppercorn, and then you're going to add some cumin seeds. You're also going to add coriander seeds if you have them. If not, you can just use some ground coriander. And then you're going to add 6 cloves to the skillet. And just so you know, you have to toast it. This is what I'm doing, toasting them. And you got to add your stick of cinnamon. So you're going to cook them all, toast them a little bit, get them nice and flavorful. And it's going to be very fragrant. I thought I was burning it here. I ain't even going to lie, y'all. I definitely thought I was burning it. And then I put it in a plate to the side. And here's the plate with all of the seasonings. And then after that, I broke the cinnamon sticks down further. So you're going to get 6 guajillo, 4 ancho, and 1 arbol. And you have to remove the seeds from every single one of them unless you want it spicy. So if you see on the inside, I had to cut it open and I had to take the seeds out. It's going to be a lot, so make sure you get the ones at the bottom because sometimes they'll stick in there and you don't want that. So here's my chilies. Next, I chop up 8 cloves of garlic, and I make sure that all the skin is off. I was really struggling to get the skin off of this one. It just seemed like it did not want to come off, and I had to start finding creative ways of getting the skin off the garlic because garlic is actually kind of hard to peel. And next, I ended up cutting a whole onion. Yes, a whole onion. I also hate peeling onions too. So I try to cut each side and then peel down from each side to see if I can get it off. So today I'm just struggling peeling stuff. Don't judge me, please. Thank you. Next, I cut up 4 vine-ripe tomatoes. At first, I was going to leave them like this, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to blend these, so I might as well cut them into smaller sections. So here's me cutting them into smaller pieces because the other pieces were just a little too big for my liking. So next, I put the oil that I use for the spices in another container. And then I added some more olive oil in there to kind of just give it a little more for the chicken. This is the chicken. Yes, I did clean it. So I cleaned the chicken and then I started cooking them in this pot. And as I started cooking it, I just seasoned it in the pot. There is the seasoning, and I use a double. That's my son's hand, by the way. And I just cooked it. I made sure that it got cooked on both sides. I wanted to try to pan sear it, pot sear it as much as I could before I went to the next step. And I had more chicken, so I just had to cook it piece by piece or pieces by pieces. Those are some of the ones I'd already cooked. So I started the sauce, and I was cooking the onions and some of the browning part that was from the chicken, and then I added the spices in there, added the peppers in there, and I just tried to cook it in as much as I could. I also added the garlic with the onions. See, I added the tomato. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Then you're going to add 1 tablespoon of oregano. So you're going to add a teaspoon of thyme. And you're going to also add a teaspoon of smoked paprika. And then you're gonna add a teaspoon of salt, but honestly I did add more later on. I just only posted this much, but I did add more. You can season it to taste as far as the salt is going. And you have to add 4 bay leaves into the start of the sauce, just to kind of add to the flavor, and stir it. I tried to get as much as the brown stuff off the bottom as much as I could. So then I tried to use like a deglazing for the chicken broth. At first I was only going to do 3 cups, but I just poured the whole thing in there because at that point it was just a drop left. And I felt, why not? More flavor, more flavor, more flavor. Once you're done stirring it, you're gonna let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes until the peppers and everything kind of gets soft and it comes to a simmer. And then after that, you should set your oven for 350. And while you're setting the oven, put all of the ingredients in a blender, blend it down, try to get it as pureed as possible so it can get into a smooth consistency, because that's where the sauce kind of comes in at. No, not kind of. It definitely comes in at that very moment. So after you get done, this should be your sauce. You see, it's a creamy consistency. If you wanted a little creamier, you could keep blending it, or you can do one of the little straining things. I wasn't finna do all of that. Honestly, I was kind of over the sauce. But then I added the chicken back to the sauce. Because after I put the chicken in the sauce, I was going to put it in the oven. I put it in the oven for like 30 to 45 minutes. So the chicken can start to become tender enough to where I can just peel it off the bone, you know, tenderism. So while the chicken was in the oven, I started cutting up my cilantro and my onions, because you know, what is a birria taco without cilantro and onions? I don't know, but we weren't going to find out today either. So here's me cutting them, making sure that I got some nice fine pieces, because I don't like clunky chunky onions in my tacos at all. Not at all. Took the chicken out the oven, and here's me picking it apart. I really wish I could have left it in a little longer, but hubby had to go to work, so we had to make this chicken work. Now it was still tender. I just wanted it a little bit more tender, because I feel like I could have got it a little more tender if I would have left it in the oven a little more longer. So here's me making the first taco, and then you're supposed to cook it in vegetable oil, and you're also supposed to have the sauce on the tortilla. I love corn tortillas, so I just, you know, use a corn tortilla. I guess you could use flour, but I wouldn't suggest it. You could also add some cheese too. Here's me putting the sauce in the bowl, because you know we gotta dip it. Go sprinkle my onions and my cilantro, and here is the final result. Now I would try to name the cheese that I use, but I don't know how to, so I'm sorry y'all, but I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Bye.